Happy Resurrection Sunday. Um, I just want to give you guys something that God gave me yesterday evening as I was sitting down watching TV. I'm going to turn this off. I was watching television, and the Lord spoke something very, very quietly in my spirit, and He said, uh, Ramoth Gilead. And I said, Ramoth Gilead. That place sounds familiar. So I took a moment before I got up from the couch and I'm like, okay, if he's speaking to me, he is drawing me into a place where he wants me to look at something. So let me turn this TV off. So I turned off the television and I went into my bedroom. I turned on some inspirational music that there was a city of refuge that the Israelites had, and people who were traveling through, and even the Gentiles had a place of refuge. And so I want to read that really quickly. So in Joshua chapter 20, we're going to start at verse 7. So they set apart Kadesh in Gilead in the hill country of Naphtali, and Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kirjatharba, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah, and beyond the Jordan east of Jericho, they appointed Bazar in the wilderness on the tableland from the tribe of Reuben, and Ramoth in Gilead from the tribe of Gad, and Golan in Bashan from the tribe of Manasseh. Verse 9 says, these were the cities designated for all the people of Israel and for the stranger sojourning among them, that anyone who killed a person without intent could flee there, so that he might not die by the hand of the avenger of blood till he stood before the congregation. And I said, okay, God, what are you telling me here? Are you telling me that there were certain places that you commanded to be set aside so that anyone who committed manslaughter would have a place of safety to go, would have a place of refuge? And so as I continued to do my research, I found out that previously God spoke to the prophet Moses. So Numbers chapter 35 verse 9 says, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, he's speaking to the prophet, saying, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, that's the promised land. They hadn't gotten there yet. He's giving Moses instructions. Then you shall select cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the manslayer, in our day is called manslaughter, right? The manslayer who kills any person without intent may flee there. The city shall be for you a refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer may not die until he stands before the congregation for judgment. And the cities that you give shall be your 6 cities of refuge. You're going to want to write that down. 6 cities of refuge. All right, so let's jump down to verse 20. And it says, and if he pushed him out of hatred or hurled something at him, laying in wait so that he died, or in enemy, right? Or malice is another word, then he who struck the blow shall be put to death. And so basically, the avenger of blood shall put the murderer to death when he meets him. And so here's verse 22. Remember, we're talking about the cities of refuge, the cities of refuge. And so verse 22 says, but if he pushed him suddenly without enmity, all right, or without malice, or hurled something on him without lying in wait, or used a stone that could cause death, and without seeing him drop it on him so that he died, though he was not his enemy and did not seek his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the manslayer and the avenger of the blood in accordance with these rules. And the congregation shall rescue the manslayer from the hand of the avenger of blood. And the congregation shall restore him to his city of refuge. So when that person was running to get to those cities of refuge, no one blocked the way. Their avenger might have been right behind them trying to get to them before they got to the city of refuge. But when they got there, they were safe. And as they begin to confess their faults to the high priest, they take it before the congregation. And so here we have a great cloud of witnesses, the Bible says, that's cheering us on. Come on, don't you stop there. Come on, you can make it past this. Listen, you can do it. You don't have to be broke. You don't have to be disappointed. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to be manipulative. You don't have to steal. You don't have to be a liar. You don't have to. You don't have to. Find the city of refuge and confess to your high priest, because he has a promise. None shall return away. So in this new covenant, even the murderer who had intent can come to the priest, because don't forget where you come from. Don't forget how God found you. Ezekiel says, when I saw you on the side of the road, polluted in your own blood, I spoke life to you. And so the compassion that goes along with love, okay, we'll see that. People are always like, oh, agape love, agape love, agape love. What does that mean? What does that mean to have love? What does that mean? First thing it means is to have compassion. That compassion is the open door to that love that we want to go into. And it's not even going to take you to agape. It's going to take you to that flesh love first. Like, oh my God, you did that for me, I love you now, right? But as soon as you're not doing something for me no more, I don't love you no more. That's a lot of where the love begins and ends for a lot of Christians in marriages, in family relationships, and friendships. As long as you feeding me, giving me what I need, I love you. But as soon as that stops, that well dries up, right? And so that's that surface love. But as you begin to grow and you read the word and you begin to find out, like, whoa, hold on, Jesus, you laid out on the cross and you catch eyes with the one who told you, I'm not going nowhere. Like, I'm ride or die, Jesus. Like, I'm getting ready to cut this man ear off for you because I'm just that hype about who you are. But then as soon as they ask you, like, yeah, you was with him, your speech betrays you. You cussing like, I don't know him. What? So we begin to grow past that love, right? And we begin to understand that I choose to agape. That is a choice. It has nothing to do with emotions. It has nothing to do with what someone does or doesn't do. It has everything to do with a choice. And the same way we can choose to run to that place of refuge and speak to the high priest, it's the same way that we can choose to forgive and repent and love. Love at the agape love level is a choice. Jesus chose to have a passion for the cross. But as we grow through the levels of love, we begin to see, like, whoa, this love thing is a choice. But I'm going to change within myself. I'm going to shed. And sometimes that shedding means that I'm no longer compatible with those people, places, and things. And so being incompatible means that we cannot, there's no energy going through, and not energy in that new age way. But think about the compatibility of a port. If I want to charge my laptop, I need the right charger and the right mechanism, right? And the same thing for all of these other things. So if the port has changed, you can't connect, and so there's no power. There's no connection. And so what happens is, as we shed, those connections naturally die off. And it's not because you don't love. You've actually matured in your love. And you can still answer those calls, and you can still pray for them, and you can still love on them. But you've changed. And so there's no connection. There's misfire. There's nothing to feed off of anymore. And so that shedding happens. So I just want to encourage you today, as I'm getting ready to be done, I just want to encourage you, find the city of refuge. And then you need to talk to the high priest. Because as you deal with those surface things, the root is still there. So, I don't know why I'm so angry. Like, sometimes that's just surface. You gotta dig. And so just like that snake rolls in the grass and in the dust to try to help that shedding of old skin happen, you're gonna have to go and do some groundwork and see, like, okay, why do I put on like this happy go lucky all the time? Like, everything's like, I'm going to stop doing that. No, that's surface. And so what happens is we still got to do like with the groundwork. You can't escape the groundwork. You can't leave that out. What do we see on the stage of life every day? What are we seeing? What are we giving? So that comes to the authenticity of who Christ is in us and the identity that is either true or false. And so as we're digging up that false identity, we're going to see like, dang, that was a lot of work. Because when that moment happens and you have to choose between what God said and what the enemy is saying, your inner man is going to speak. And what comes out is probably going to shock you. Like, dog, I don't have faith maybe in this area. And if I don't, how, God, do I transform into being a believer? I just need to believe in this place, right? Because belief is going to prove that faithfulness, and that's that PISTIS we talked about last week, right? If I don't believe my marriage is going to work, I'm not going to be faithful to putting in that work. And you hear married people say all the time, I'm tired. Like I give so much, I'm tired. What are they really saying? Let's dig. How can you translate that into words that can communicate to your spouse that this is what you're really saying? Because to them, it might just be like, okay, she's tired. Go sleep. Like, go lay down. Go get in a bubble bath. And it's like, that's not the tired I'm talking about. I'm mentally tired. I'm emotionally tired. My emotions are all over the place because I'm exhausted from giving and not receiving. And so as we begin to dig, we find words to communicate what's really happening. And so this brings us back to our authentic dominion, right? And that authentic dominion cannot happen if we're projecting all of this other stuff that we are not. And if that is what the world is seeing, and that's not who we really are, we ain't gonna connect to nobody authentically. What? You're getting ready to get a man based on what you projecting. Because when you start getting into it and you start unraveling, they're like, oh, that's who you really is? Like, dang, I jacked up. You can't fix it because the core of who you are has never been seen to that individual. And so that's just a piece for those of you who are looking to want to get married, looking to want to be connected with someone. Like, you get ready to give them a counterfeit. And then when they see you outside of that, it's going to be like, oh man, dang, I jacked that up. Like, now, can I get like a get out of jail past no 200? Like, I don't even want the 200. Can I get out of this? You know? And then you're trying to fix it. You're going to fix it. And then the other person may not want to fix it. They're like, you lied. Like, you're not the person that I met. You're not that person. And so we see this in friendships. We see this in, peer groups and work relationships and just different relationships throughout our lives. And we're trying to figure out, like, why doesn't this work anymore? Because you're shedding as you should. Because you should be changing all the time. We go from glory to glory. We carry the glory. And as we carry that, it radiates something. We should be attracting like, I hate the like-mindedness, but the point is you get to a place where it's like, okay, what's happening here? I really wanted one thing, but I'm not getting that. Where are you? You got to dig. Dig past all of that stuff. All of the things that we give to the world to make them think, hey, I'm A-okay. And you're dying. Like, you're not happy. When you're alone, your mind is going a million, miles per minute. You're trying to make heads or tails of what your life is and what you want or what you don't want. And it's like, wait, it's time to shed. And as you shed, make sure you're running into those cities of refuge and meeting with the high priest, because he's a great intercessor. You might go to your best buddy who can pray. Let me tell you, an awesome intercessor. He is the chief intercessor. He intercedes for us day and night. And so when you go to him, you don't have to dress it up. He knows exactly what it is. And he is God. Ooh, wow, I got God interceding for me so that I can become authentic and not project something that I am not anymore because I'm tired. I'm tired. What that I wanted to give you is don't block anyone from being able to get to the high priest. Don't do it. Now is not the time to sabotage. Now is not the time. And we may not look at and we may not see it as that. Now is not the time to play that self righteous role. So now is not the time to do that. Now is the time to take that real Christian seat and say, I forgive because he first forgave me. Yes, I live only because he died. And so what I have now is not because of anything that I did, it's because of what I received. I'm going to say that again. What I have now is not because of anything that I did, I just received. So now is not the time to condemn. Now is not the time to blame shift. Now is not the time to take that super Christian role. Now is not the time to be prideful. Now is not the time to be accountable. Now is not the time to not take responsibility. Now is not the time. Do not stand in the way of someone else being able to make it to the place of refuge, because that really is salvation. That really is that place of like, dang, can I choose? Who is this Christ? Who is this Jesus? Who is that? And the only way they're going to see him is through you. Don't block anyone from making it to the city of refuge, because the only way they can get to the high priest is through salvation. And sometimes the only way that they're going to see anything that looks like love or anything that looks like Christ is through us. We become him. We become the thing that represents him. And so what we do, how we do it, what we say, how we live, what we post, how we work, how we deal with people, how we minister or not minister to them, all of that reflects, will you feed the stranger? Like, can you speak to your enemy? Like, those are the things that's like going to be the make or break between whether or not they make it to the city of refuge, because it's a choice. But our representation in the earth either stands in the way or opens up that gate to be able to say, yes, run, get there. Yes, get there. You cheer them on to getting to that place of salvation. Let them meet with Christ themselves. Let them choose him like you got an opportunity to choose him.